Hello, it's meow time for KittenousBeast gaming videos for cats and their people. KatzeLande Prime, episode 16.5. So in today's episode, we're going to be looking at a cooling system upgrade to the base. So we're going to pull that off pretty quick. It's going to be a short, sweet little episode, and I hope you enjoy this little upgrade to the setup. So if you recall, we have a ethanol supply over here that's quite cold, and we're using that to cool things down. And what we're going to do right now is divert part of that supply to cooling our power plant system. So right now we have this little loop that's for cooling this air from the rust deoxidizer. And what we want to do is use a second loop to cool the petroleum generator and this set of natural gas generators. And in the previous episode, uh, I had sort of remarked that that was going to be on the agenda. So let's see if we can pull off this modification. Um, we are going to be deconstructing this old reservoir and repositioning it over here, and the circuitry for making sure that the generator has fuel is going to be kind of moved over a little bit as well. So let's see if we can pull this off in a quick fashion, um, and see uh, what the results are going to look like. So the first thing we're going to do is just move some of the fuel over here towards the generators. Again, our gas power plant has the priority, so these uh, pipes that are being used to feed the generator might be tweaked and repositioned a little bit. So let's get that liquid reservoir back in place. Um, so if you recall our logic from earlier, when the generator's feed pipe is empty, it'll send a signal to release some fuel into the system prematurely so that the gas generator will always have some fuel available. Um, So we want to maintain that circuit, uh, but we're tweaking the position of things. So we're going to have to kind of carefully remove and untangle some of the existing piping that we've built, uh, and then make this modification happen. Thankfully, most of these pipes are empty. Uh, if you kind of recall, this setup only really pulled fluid through when the generator's fuel tank or fuel line was empty. So these pipes are all empty. I don't need a plumber to deconstruct those. I can just kind of deconstruct them at will with a little difficulty here. So, all right, we've got our secondary loop here, and we'll put a bridge across this water line. All right, and now we're getting close to where we want to have our loop start. So I'm going to approach this kind of carefully because I do want this to work well. Um, so this is going to be the feed from the reservoir. So the feed from the reservoir needs to have a lower priority than the feed from the loop itself. So with that in mind, I am going to need to make sure that as I build this, that there is a link to the loop that precedes this input from the system. So again, we are going to use uh, aluminum pipes here. Cancel that. Want to make sure the correct material is used. Okay, so we're going to pull this through. Like, I think that's probably going to do it. All right, and then we'll have our liquid bridge going up into the system. Meanwhile, the loop is going to be perpetuated by the link here. Okay, so we'll see how this loop plays out. And again, an additional radiant pipe just to get additional cooling on that petroleum generator. Then we'll be using insulated pipes to build the rest of the loop in. So I'm going to start my loop down here with the natural gas power plant. and I'm going to kind of weave it through the system like so. So we've got our radiant gas pipes, and then insulated pipe, then radiant gas pipe, then insulated pipe. So we want the radiant pipes to only be in contact with the generators uh, because that's where the heat dispersion mechanic is going to take place. Okay, all right, so here we have the incoming going through here, cooling down the petroleum generator, proceeding through here, cooling down the natural gas generators, and we'll go ahead and repeat that process of radiant pipes and insulated pipes. Okay, all right, and once we've hit that end point, now we want to circle back to the system here. So I'm going to go ahead and pivot the pipes back up and through. There's not enough space for that, so I'll have to change direction. We'll pivot out and bring the pipes out this way. I'm leaving a little bit of space in case I have future plumbing shenanigans I need to take care of. But oh, and actually these pipes can all be deconstructed, so I should have taken those out first. That'll free up some space. So maybe going back through that way wasn't a bad idea. So kind of waffling back and forth there, but we'll get it figured out. So we'll come in through the middle and then make an approach on the area there. Now, I do need some space, so I think I have an empty tile here I can use. So I'm actually going to approach a little bit higher, and you'll see how this works out. Okay, so I want this to happen fast. So let's go ahead and high prioritize all these actions. And our dupes will get to work. Alright, so they've deconstructed those pipes so I can finish the plumbing piece. And we'll go a bridge across this first line. And then a bridge down. Alright, and here's where we're going to be able to put in place our temperature check. So, I'm going to have to move that automated wire real fast. So we will be placing that temperature check right here to verify that the coolant is low temperature enough before storing it into the reservoir. So let's go ahead and take out these automated wires for the lamp really fast. And we'll just reroute those. We'll reroute them around. It's not pretty, but that's fine. Right, so we're going to put our Thermo Sensor in place because part of this system's use is to take this very, very cold liquid ethanol, heat it up, and then use it as fuel once it's been once some of its cooling effects have been diminished. So, all right. Once again, place some high priority on these new pieces of construction because we want this project to happen fast. Right, you can see the radiant piping here, and that's going to disperse the heat. The heat from the generators will go into the ethanol, and then the ethanol will either loop back around to continue cooling or be siphoned off into the generator's fuel reservoir. That's the plan anyways. So you can see the system is starting to charge. It's drawing away ethanol from the reservoir and starting to charge up the loop. So now that we've checked to make sure that this temperature on the fuel is the correct temperature, we'll be able to control the flow of the fuel. So let's go ahead and pull off this power control station. We'll relocate it elsewhere because we're going to need a little bit of space to complete this plumbing piece. So if and I might even have to relocate that automated wire a second time. I might as well just pull that off altogether. Should have went through the door now that I think about it. So we'll just quickly rewire that piece. Oop. Okay. All right. And we'll use a liquid shutoff valve to control the flow of the fuel. So if the temperature of the liquid ethanol is above, say, 35 degrees, we want it to be sent into the liquid reservoir. So we'll go ahead and connect the automation wires here to this system, and you see why I had to delete those wires now. I mean, I can cancel the deconstruction on that wire, but I'll have to make sure that they delete the rest of those wires. So if the ethanol is hot enough, it should be pushed into the reservoir. That's the plan. So go ahead and route those pipes over to the reservoir. Great. All right. So that sort of completes that first piece of the loop. If it's not cool enough, then it should be recirculated into the loop. So that's why we have this connector here. So if it's completed the loop and not hot enough yet, it'll be recirculated through the loop by this liquid bridge. So this liquid bridge here has higher priority than the source liquid bridge because it's earlier in the loop system. So this ethanol will constantly cycle through the system until it reaches the correct temperature, in which case it's pushed out of the system into the reservoir so it can be burned by the generator. That's the plan. So I think we're pretty much there. The only thing we need to do now is connect this other loop with the reservoir system as well. And the logic on that is already set up. So we'll just go ahead and just push that up. And now we just need one last fine detail, and that detail is to connect. And I may actually reroute this pipe now that I just laid it. The last detail is to connect the reservoir to the generator itself. So to do that, we'll have to go down and across. So let's just do that first. Okay, and then we'll pull up these two pipes. Again, I am going to go ahead and high prioritize all of these tasks because I want this to be done quickly. And at the end of the day, so people are eating their food, having a nice relaxing break, our pips are happily in their branch, resting comfortably over here with our delicious arbor trees for them to nibble on. And we've got loads more eggs to harvest, so we'll harvest those eggs. As you can see, we've got several pip eggs already, and that's going to be a nice little food source for the colony. And we'll finish this project up in the next few minutes. So, almost fully set up this cooling loop upgrade. we do need to reconnect this wire now. So again, if the fuel pipe is empty, we have a logic circuit that will tell the system to release a small burst of fuel into the reservoir, regardless of temperature, so that the generator can maintain a small amount of fuel supply. So we're going to reconnect that back up now that we've done most of the pipe work, and the system will charge up the petroleum generator once again, and we'll be able to take a look at the fruits of our labor very shortly after these tasks are completed. Right, so there's our cooling loop on the gas, still running as intended. Once these pipes are completed here, we should see the cycling on the secondary loop occur. If I wired it all up properly, of course. Let me just check. So we should have a pipe going from here to here. I think that's the missing piece. Yeah, hopefully. We'll need to power up that valve. So we'll go ahead and do that. Checking the logic wires. That looks all good. Okay. There it goes. So with those two pipes connected, we now have a constant circulation. You can see an immediate impact on the temperature of the generators. They were yellow, meaning they were up in the 30-degree range. Now they've been immediately cooled down to the 20-degree range by this ethanol loop. So we've done a nice upgrade on our system here, capitalizing on the natural coldness of this ethanol, and heating it up before burning it is the smartest thing we can do. Burning it at a low temperature does no difference compared to burning it at a higher temperature. So getting a cooling benefit from the ethanol initially is the smarter move. And as this power plant heats up, the hot ethanol, 35 degrees or greater, will be pushed into the reservoir for burning and replaced with cool ethanol to keep the system running cool. So we've done a really nice job on this piece here. So one more thing we just want to make sure is working is the logic piece here. So we should have this valve opening and releasing some ethanol into the tank, but we haven't finished this connector here yet. So we need a way of getting this ethanol line over here. But now that I think about it, I could also set up an OR on this part of the ethanol line and release the ethanol from the gas power plant stream instead of the air stream. Though I kind of prefer the air being cooler than the power plant, so I think I want to still put preference on this one. So it's going to be a little bit of a dance to get this liquid shutoff output over here. So let's go ahead and quickly plumb that out, and then we'll call it quits for the day. And it's a little bit of a mess with the piping, but I think that that's just fine. Go ahead and set this to high priority. It'll let it get finished up. Verify that we can keep that gas generator fueled. Almost finished. And we see a burst of fuel being released. All right, once there's ethanol here, that triggers this circuit to off to prevent any additional flow of fuel. So we get a small burst of fuel, not a load, just a small amount of fuel out of the system. It keeps this area extra cold for the gases, totally fine, and it keeps this area over here cool with the secondary ethanol loop. So, hope you enjoyed this quick uh, project here, this fuel loop upgrade, and I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope your cat enjoyed the video as well. That being said, I hope you have a great day, and we'll be seeing you.